Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent of the Community Oceania Hundokai with Reverend Yutaka Yamada. Today being Sunday, the 15th of August, or the 8th of July in the 9th year of Chongoku. Let's begin by offering a bow to our Heavenly Parents and True Parents. Chariot, Chambay, Paro. And let's recite our family pledge, both in Korean and English. Thank you.
가정맨세 1. 천일국 주인 우리 가정은 참 사랑을 중심하고 본연 땅을 찾아 본연의 찬조 이사인 지산천국과 천산천국을 창건할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 1. Our family, the owner of Chongoku, pledges to seek our original homeland and build the kingdom of God on earth and in heaven, the original ideal of creation, by centering on true love. And like to ask Catherine from New Zealand if she'd offer the opening prayer, please.
Let's pray. Good morning, our most beloved Heavenly Parents and our beloved true parents of heaven and earth and humankind. Good morning, Jesus and the saints and sages of history. We truly thank you so much that we can come together at this time each morning to join together in this region, Oceania, to hear your word and to share our hearts with one another. This time is so really precious, and the heart and zeal that Reverend Yamada has been putting into it is so beautiful and caring, and we really thank you for this. We thank each person who comes every morning to share and to understand, and how we can become closer to each other, and how we can fulfill your will here on this earth, Heavenly Parents. You've sacrificed so much and given so much for each one of us to be here today, and we truly appreciate this. We thank you for the modern technology that we have. We can't see each other personally, close together, but with the Zoom, we can see each other and meet each other. Sometimes we've never met. This is the first time that we can see, and through this, we can understand each other's hearts and how we can help one another, and how, most of all, we can help you, Heavenly Parents. As a collective body, we thank you for one another. We pray that you can please be here with us today as we continue with our Hondokai readings, that you can open our hearts to really find what is relevant for each one of us today. We're all different, and we all have different things that really can open our hearts. But as a collective body, we can really work together with one united heart. Thank you for this time. Please share it with us, and we offer everything to you with our heart and gratitude always. And I pray in the name of all the blessed central families gathered here today. Arju.
Thank you. And let's offer as always a warm welcome to Reverend Yutaka as he shares with us this morning.
Good morning, our brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining today's morning Fundokai. Today is the beautiful Sunday, beginning of the week. We can also feel the gladness and happiness. Let's offer our sincere heart and devotion to our Heavenly Parents and true parents. And really we will share our heart to our brothers and sisters in our nation and also our region of Oceania. Thank you for today. So yesterday there was Chombo Great Works in Asia Pacific region. So it's really important to liberate our spiritual world, and it's important to liberate our ancestors. So how many people in the world are willing to take responsibility to the lives of those who have gone to the spirit world and who is really thinking about our person who have gone to the spirit world. That's why through Chombo great works, we can bring them and we can connect them to God and original world and also kingdom of heaven in unchanging spiritual life. That is a great, incredible blessing for them and blessing for us. Through our Chonsong, our suffering ancestors, some is really suffering in that place. So through our offering, their life will be liberated and they receive blessing. They change their lineage to God, and also they can come down to work with us as the absolute good spirit. That's why offering Chonson and really pray for our ancestor. This is really also the investment for our future generation. So what tradition do we leave behind? This beautiful tradition that three parents gave to us, we must pass it on to our children and to our descendants. Someday we will go to spiritual world, right? So at that moment, how about our children? Children never think our ancestor, never think about us, or even our children or grandchildren always respect our ancestor, us, and our ancestor, and love and effort. If we can prepare and leave those traditions to our family, our tribe, and descendants, how it is beautiful. Now we are living beyond the barrier or boundary between even physical world and the spiritual world, and to create ideal nation and ideal world of a cosmos or cosmic level. So centering on our heavenly parents and true parents, we will come together and create the ideal kingdom of heaven and also God's kingdom of God's nation of Choniguk. So not only this physical nation of Choniguk, actually God's nation, God's concept of Choniguk is already together between physical world and spiritual world. So we can create together with our heavenly parents. And this week there are several events. There is also the ILC centering on Korean unification between North and South Korea. So Heaven Unified Korea. And another activity is the Chombo Great Works centering on Trimada in Korea in this Saturday and Sunday. So there are many kind of things. Let's offer Chonsong and also please participate together. So today also let's begin our Fundoke of Trimada's autobiography. So Mother of Peace. Now we are reading about Trimada's autobiography and learning and sharing our mother's life course. So those sharing and understanding of mother and mother's heart is really essential things. Yesterday we are sharing about contents which Trimada invested to the Middle East. So Middle East nation, those nations are based on the Muslim religion, Islamic religion. And also that area is the place where God have invested for a long time and through Bible history. And even that place where Jesus was born. So when we see the history of Middle East, how many effort and chansong of God are there, and tears are there, and suffering and endurance are there. When true parents visited the Middle East and Jerusalem, true parents offer the sincere devotion and also share and comfort God's heart. That's why during speech time of True Mother to the Middle East, because of those contents, the audience left during the speech time. And even more than half of them left even to mother was giving the speech. But what was mother's heart? Even they left. But even one person are remaining there. Even one person are listening my message. I want to give my speech. I want to share God's heart through message. If even this one person's heart or spiritual life will change, I continuously invest and love. So this is the sharing of yesterday's contents. And yesterday also our several blessed families, our brothers and sisters, share your experience. Palestine and also Middle East place. And also Mr. Landon also shared a photo, beautiful photo about Middle East Peace Initiative, that moment, right? So still that area, there are many kind of conflict, even there is tense. They can cross over the nation and nation, but still they hate each other and they don't want to work each other and they talk bad things each other. But as the Mr. Tony mentioned, before going there, before visiting there, we could not real situation or real heart. They are living their investment and they are living well their life. And everyone is not bad person. One group of politician or one group of people are making a problem, but actually even the person who are living that nation, they are also suffering. So how we can really concern and save and support those person. So our effort and our attitude investment is really important. That's why through mother's autobiography, we can learn and we can inherit and we can also determine for solving those matters together. So today, let's see the next part. Okay, I will read this. As the world ushered in the new millennium, the American Clergy Leadership Conference took our ministry for peace in the Middle East to a new level, with an initiative to bring reconciliation between Jews and Christians. Based on the call for Christians to embrace the Jewish people, it was discovered that the cross is a barrier to that unity. Therefore, Christians called for the end of the era of the cross, taking down their crosses and focusing instead on the resurrection and victory of Jesus in love. So three parents are investing a lot of effort in order to unite for all world religion. So this ACLC, American Clergy Leadership Conference, this is also one of them, in order to unite all Christian clergy, to bring them back to God and bring them back to hope of Jesus, and to work together with our three parents. Three parents established this organization. When True Father went to Danbury prison, many clergy stood up to make a freedom to share and also show the spirit and fight for the freedom of religion. And among those movement, Christian clergy gathered together, united with true parents, and this ACLC was started. That's why already now ACLC created a lot of Christian foundation in America, and now many clergy received the blessing, and now they are doing the 40-day separation and even 3-day ceremony. And they are, as the Blessed Center family, Christian clergy were really inspired in America, and now their target is to visit the mega church in America and to testify our heavenly parents and true parents directly as the Christian clergy and as a Christian minister. This is the activity of ACLC American Clergy Leadership Conference. And also in Oceania, in Pacific, we receive also direction from Trimada, and we are preparing the inauguration ceremony of Pacific Christian Leadership Conference, PCLC, in October 4th and 5th. We are preparing this inauguration ceremony as a commemorated event of True Father's 9th Songfa anniversary. So now we are receiving many cooperation, and each nation now receive the cooperation and recommending that each pastors. And August 17, we will have a first gathering with all Christian clergy this week in Pacific area. So already more than 15 priests and the clergy are confirmed join this first meeting. So anyway, we have many kind of person, but the person who are really close receive already education, and the person who visited and met their parents. So those core Christian pastors gather first, and after this, we will prepare the inauguration ceremony to expand to welcoming more Christian pastor or Christian clergy or Christian people, and to invite them to October 4th, October 5th inauguration ceremony of PCLC. So October 4, we will have a conference centering on several topics. That's why if you have a Christian pastor, they can come and they can even give the speech centering on this conference. This is October 4th. So originally we were planned to have a physical event also in Australia and in Philippines. And all Christians come together by online, but because of COVID cases in Australia, we are still observing the situation. So anyway, if COVID case is not easy, then we will organize just only by online. So anyway, we are really gathered together, all Christian pastor, minister, and Christian people. Then really we will connect together with three parents and also support our movement. That's why the ACLC from America and PCLC from Pacific, we will cooperate together and to support Korea KCLC, and this become the big great foundation toward heavenly unified Korea and heavenly unified world. So now our Mrs. Daibisha also last time shared to visit Christian minister and share the message. And yesterday also Mrs. Margaret also share your investment to organize together with Christian minister and Christian pastor. So those investment and your devotion is really precious. What is Christian's main purpose? What is our Jesus' hope? Jesus' hope is that let them come. Prepare second coming, prepare the true parents, come together and to fulfill God's vision and God's will. Liberate God's heart, liberate Jesus' heart. This is the role and purpose of existence of Christianity. That's why together with our true parents' vision, our heavenly parents' hope, we will also visit and approach all Christian pastor, minister, Christian people to bring them back, to give the blessing, and also work together as the people of true parents. So this is the really role of Christianity. So toward our goal is 144,000 people online. So through online, this is not so much big number, but this is the first target. We are preparing for inauguration of PCLC. So please pray and support and really create this beautiful environment in Pacific, in Oceania region. So anyway, this is a little bit different story. So I share about PCLC. So mother and true parents is leading the movement of unity of all world religion. That's why church parents inaugurated ACLC, and ACLC initiated for reconciliation between Jews and Christians. And the new history was begun in Middle East in order to solve the problem. So Mother said, Christians called for the end of the era of the cross, taking down their crosses and focusing instead on the resurrection and victory of Jesus in love. So this spirit should be reached to all Christian community and leaders. In May 2003, members of the Christian clergy from the United States and Europe, as well as Israel, marched through the streets of Jerusalem carrying a cross. In a prayer of repentance and forgiveness, they buried the cross in the field of blood, which is said to have been bought by Judas Iscariot with the 30 pieces of silver he received for betraying Jesus. A Jewish woman present at that event said she felt as if 4,000 years of sorrow on the part of her people had finally dissipated. So how beautiful it is, this moment. The wish of Jesus, what and wish of God, and what is Jewish wish, and what is the Christian's wish. Actually, this cross is not their wish. This is a symbol of suffering, symbol of sadness of God and our Jesus Christ. But because of true parents show and share the real circumstances and real heart of Jesus. And finally, those cross, through the taking down of this cross, Jesus was resurrected, and also people can liberate, people can praise, and people gather together, centering on Jesus' love and Jesus' victorious of love. Within the same year, we conducted the Jerusalem Declaration for the reconciliation of the three Abrahamic faiths and held a ceremony in Jerusalem's main park. On the stage, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and Druze clergy crowned Jesus as the King of Israel. Our message was clear. Jesus came to humanity as our King of Kings, but he was rejected and crucified, and so could not realize the literal kingdom of God that he declared to be near. This is the Islamic declaration. Because of declaration, those Abrahamic faiths could come and unite together. That's why how much those investment is really precious. Until now, their group was so much conflicted, but true parents opened the way to unite those Abrahamic faiths together. The purpose of coronation ceremony was for people of all the Abrahamic faiths to declare Jesus the true King through liberating him and God from sorrow. On that day, and others like it, we created the environment in which religious leaders from around the world, together with Jewish and Palestine, Israel, embraced in tears. These things never happened in the history, and nobody could fulfill that. When our unification leader went to that place in the first time, and when they had prepared this event to call the leader of each religion, Jewish rabbi and the Christian pastor and the Muslim imam, when they come together in the first time, do you know what atmosphere was that time? Even they come together, even they stay in the same time for having meeting, but I heard they don't want to see each other. That's why even these three religious leaders come and in the same room, but they are sitting down kind of the one line then sitting down, and they are facing to the wall. So Christian pastor, when they talk to the wall, not talk to the people face to face. They talk to the wall, Christian pastor. Muslim also talking to face to the wall, and another also Jewish rabbi also talk to the wall because they don't want to see each other. But during communicating and making relationship one by one, finally they open their heart. They understand the vision of three parents. They understand the heart of Jesus, and they start to cross each other, accepted each other, and finally they open the way, even open the holy ground. Do you know in that place there are 3 holy ground in Jerusalem, and this is only opening for the own religious person. But at that moment, when three parents organize the Middle East Peace Initiative, the Peace March, all 3 religions and our member leaders come together to visit each religious holy ground together. This was the really amazing and historical things. So because of that, the Middle East Peace Initiative was started and opened the way. Of course, each nation is different environment. Maybe Australia or New Zealand or another country, all religious people are easy to come, but Middle East area, they are really serious person who offer their life for each religion. So in the beginning, there was really difficult or challenging moment, but because of that, they open the gate and open the way, and they liberate our Jesus as the King of Kings. So I prepared one video about Middle East, this event. So I want to show the things. So just a moment. Revan Jong, can you play the video? This is the 10th year of anniversary of Jerusalem Declaration. So you can feel all that movement.
Peace is spiritual. And you cannot have people who are spiritually dead, who view things only in a physical realm, achieve a spiritual result.
If we believe that the Jewish people has come back to its old homeland, then it's also part of God's plan that the Palestinian people are here.
The UPF are making the most important activity for the peace in the Middle East. I never know about any other non-governmental organization which have this commitment and this massive effort to close people from all the Middle East and to become neighbors, friends, peace fighters.
When Father Moon began the Middle East Peace Initiative in 2003, his desire was to promote dialogue, mutual respect and cooperation among Jews, Christians, and Muslims as brothers and sisters.
Religion and interfaith issues are becoming increasingly important to the international relations community and the diplomatic community, and simultaneously it's very important for religious leaders not simply to be well-versed in their scriptures and beautiful and pious sayings, but to be grounded in the realities of this world.
I believe in all the religion, and I don't feel that there is a difference between any religion. We create this difference because we are trying to have power. So religious, for them, is power.
We decided that we would engage in a paradigm shift. A paradigm shift. And that we would look at the cross, yes, as being an important and sacred instrument to us as Christians. But at the same time, was it worth clinging to that symbol as a stumbling block to creating a sense of brotherhood and sisterhood with our Jewish brothers and sisters?
The point will come, I hope in a very close future, when the track 2 diplomacy will connect to the track 1. But when it happens, I want to build in a whole new concept so that these things can work together, so that that gap between where we have to go and where we are can be narrowed in, and we can create a true peace process.
I am Muslim and he's Jews, and he's my brother, and I love you, my brother. And all you said is going to my heart, and I am with you for this peace process.
I want to express to all my beloved Christian friends
שיותר גדול וחשוב מהקבועה של הצלב זה הפתיחה של הצלב החדש של החיבוק.
even more important than bearing the staff is opening his hand, extending them, and the cross which embraces everyone. That is of greater importance. That is what he's doing right now.
Okay, thank you very much. So this our Children Parents initiative and fulfillment. This is really the historical and really important things. When we see the society now or world, still there is the many kind of conflict. But one of the reason of a conflict is also the conflict between religion. That's why those, especially the Abrahamic faith, these three major religions come together and unite together. This initiative actually to change the history and change even the future. So through Children Parents investment and through then the initiative, we could see the new future. So even Mother said, nobody come together, or even they left during the speech time. But our Children Mother's investment, even one person receive the message, realize God's word, they will change the history. They will change even spiritual world, and they will change the future. That's why continuously to Father, to Mother, they are investing not only seeing the physical world, including the spiritual world, including God's heart. So our whole movement, we are really doing the great dimension activities. So all our brothers and sisters, really we will come together and unite with our Children Mother. Now Tower 2027, how we can create. So now through Chombo activities, we can change the spiritual world. And now we are preparing our Heavenly Unified Korea, Heavenly Unified World. Even our individual power is small, but we are also representative of the nation, even the religion, and even all of our world. So we will really put our chanson and come together and offer the victory and happiness. So today also beginning of the day, let's put our heart, share our love, and let's offer the happiness, the victory. And I hope also you can share many activity or event centering on the visitation of peace initiative in Middle East, right? So I really appreciate everyone. So let's have a great time. Thank you very much, everyone. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Reverend Yutaka. As always, really providing a lot of information and inspiration. We're really grateful to be able to come together and to listen. I was touched by two things really. One was Jesus's hope and how he longed to see God's will realized, and how he longed to see everyone understand God's vision, that our life really is to be one family, and really to that process of taking down the cross. And many churches in America took down their crosses, and that's quite an amazing thing to see. The symbol that they hung on to for so long, that symbolized their whole life of faith, the cross. I don't think they realized how that was a barrier. And that Jewish lady saying how when she saw the cross come down and buried, and that it relieved like 4,000 years of history, and that really was something amazing. And that made me think about tradition, because the tradition of the cross is a really strong thing. And then it made me realize what really is tradition. It's not rituals. It's not things that divide. It's things that actually are meant to strengthen us. And we know essentially that true tradition is embodying your Heavenly Parent's heart. So it's not the external things that make up tradition, culture or the rituals that we do within, like Holy Communion. They all represent actually conditions, chongsong. They're things that help strengthen the tradition, but they are not the tradition itself. The tradition is really love and heart that's passed on through generation after generation after generation. So to see that seemingly established tradition of the cross that could be changed, and then to see the crowning of glory, and that we can really see and embrace that Father's vision and heart, that Christianity needs to pass the love of God on to everyone. So there were just some thoughts I had, and thank you. And I notice is that Miwa with your hand up there? Or Seti has a different. Can't hear you, Seti, by the way. No, sorry, Seti, I can't hear you. Can others hear you?
Is it okay now?
Yeah, yes, okay.
All right.
Put the volume up.
Really excited by this talk this morning. Kind of, I mean, we like easy takeaways, usable material that we could apply readily. And as we're dealing with our Christian foundations, I think this morning's talk really sums up some of the essences, I guess, that we should focus on when we're dealing with our Christian brethren. So just thought maybe if we could compile and what I take from this is what is the new focus that we can suggest to our Abrahamic faiths, in particular the Christian faith that we live in, is the focusing on the resurrection, the victory of Jesus in love. You know, there's this hymn that says, and you know, we'll take the cross down and replace it someday with a crown. I forgot that Christian hymn we used to sing a lot. But even if we could project that possibility to our Christian brethren, that, you know, to think about the crown of Jesus and so forth, rather than, you know, the harping on the misery of the cross and you know, such. There's a whole lot of, how do you say, psychological stuff that happens, I think, from the concept of the cross. So I think it's really important for a whole new paradigm of thinking to emphasize this point for our Christian brethren, and also to welcome, like, the marriage of the Lamb. I mean, this is the next step on, is to convey that the marriage of the Lamb happened, you know, and to, you know, only begotten daughter, and to get back to Eden. What's Eden? Is the restoration of the three blessings and the one commandment, you know. What's God's will? Very simple. There's those three blessings and the one commandment. That's all he gave to us to do, but we never did it, you know. So if we can really, you know, simply convey with a pure heart, I think, you know, that I think Christianity is at the level, the resonant level. I feel it as I deal with the Christian ministries around. You know, people are longing for the return of Christ. People are, you know, they know that it's not the liturgy. They know it's not, you know, they're reaching for something much, much more. But we have to itemize it. We have to clarify it, and we have to convey it. So I think this morning's talk actually is so powerful, because I think there's a few keys here that we can look at. The coronation, you know, the Jerusalem. I think this is the time to highlight these things even within our Christian dealings with our Christian brethren. Even, you know, to really, obviously, True Father knew a lot more than we did when we did MEPI, you know, and but we got to go there to that point in time where Father was, you know, and to bury the cross and cry together as the three Abrahamic faiths. I mean, you know, here in Samoa, we have the evangelical churches blowing ram's horns, literal ram's horns, and waving the flag of David, you know, the Jewish flag. But, you know, that's not it. There's no Jerusalem to go back to there. There's no, you know what I mean? But we have to give them the stepping, the pathway, and we have to verbalize that and show the vision somehow. But I think there's a few key elements here. I would very much like to have maybe we can have these kind of points brought up in soon as possible within this PCLC. That's what I would suggest. Thank you very much, Reverend Utaka, for their wonderful presentation.
Thank
Can
you.
we material, PowerPoint and video, please send to us so we can use? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we've got a few people with their hands up. First was Susan. Go ahead, Susan.
Yeah, when you were talking about Holy Communion, it reminded me of one experience that I had when I was in America. I was in Detroit, Michigan, and we were visiting ministers because we were doing lots of ICC seminars. So basically we were doing 2 seminars a week. So we'd have one on a Wednesday, one on a Saturday on the weekend. And the sister and I, as a center, we were doing a rolling fast. So 2 members would fast breakfast, fast lunch, fast dinner. So the sister and I, on this one Sunday morning, we were going to visit a church of a minister that we were trying to get to go to one of the conferences. I think it was probably one of the bigger ones in Chicago. and we were fasting breakfast. So we get to the church and the service starts, and we realize that it's Holy Communion Day. And so we were looking at each other, and it's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So when it came time to take communion, we felt, well, we can't not take communion because that puts a gap and a bridge between us and the minister. So we thought, we've got to do this. So for the bread, which was just a little wafer, it was quite easy. We could sort of put it in our mouth and then surreptitiously, just take it out and sort of wrap it in a tissue. But then when it came to take the wine, it was like we were looking at each other. We're just going to have to bite the bullet and just going to have to do this. So in the end, we did. But and I'm still here, so I didn't get shot down. But it was just an interesting experience of you're doing your chon song and then you go to a church and it's it's Holy Communion. So, but it was just a little experience that I remember when you were speaking about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, Doug has his hand up. Go ahead.
Mary and I, after the coronation ceremony of God as King and true parent, it got very busy after that, and New York was bubbling. So a lot of foundational things happened even before the 2003 tour in Israel. But those foundational things are really important to understand, and I wanted to share them with you. Father said this one statement. He said, there will be no peace in the Middle East until the Jewish people accept Jesus. That's a very strong statement. And many Christians had an attitude that we don't need to witness to the Jewish people. They have a separate providence. They have a distinct and unique relationship with God, That was a prevailing kind of thought. So around 2001 or 2, we got invited to a celebration of Martin Luther King's birthday on January 15th in the major synagogue of Nassau County, Long Island, New York. And it had statewide prominent leadership in the entire audience. We were there because one of our ministers that our community was working with in Hempstead, Long Island, was part of that. So there were like 9 people on the dais, all of them white except for one Black woman, and that was our community's representative. So they had met in preparation for this very significant meeting of Christian and Jewish leadership in celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday, and they all pledged to each other, we will not mention the name of Jesus Christ. That was the one thing that they didn't want to go in there and offend the Jewish community. So they just wanted to go there peacefully and be pleasant and so forth. So every single one of them agreed to do that. And then the funny thing happened was that our woman minister, who was African-American, was asked to light all the candles. So after each person on the dais spoke, in a very wonderful way, but they didn't mention Jesus, and there were a lot of Christian leadership there. Our minister, all she had to do was light the candles. So she got up and she performed the ceremony that took about 4 minutes, and at every candle she talked about Jesus Christ, and the people on the stage were like squirming, nervous, so uncomfortable. It was really amazing. But she proceeded throughout everyone, and Jesus Christ was mentioned throughout the entire lighting. It was so really wonderful. But I had no idea who the speaker was going to be. And then they introduced the speaker. And it turned out to be, he was an African, and he was saved by the Jewish slavery, stopslavery.com, found in Africa after his second attempt of escape from his slavery. He was from Sudan. He was a Dink, and his family was captured, and he was enslaved at 7 years of age, you know. If you try to escape, you have a leg taken off, you know. So every other boy that ever tried to escape lost a leg. And there were children without legs and so forth. He worked at looms naked, was beaten by sticks, peed upon by the children of the owning family. He suffered for those 7 years. He tried to escape one time, but they didn't take his leg off. And then finally, after 7 years, he escaped a second time, and he was found by this Jewish organization. And they really gave him everything that they could. They educated him. And this was about maybe 7 years after he had been well educated, even inside attending special classes in Yale. So he was the main speaker, you know, in this synagogue. And it turned out that as he spoke, he raised the an answer to a question: how did you survive? How did you survive and not lose your leg? So he said, how I survived was when I was a little boy, I was able to sing many songs about Jesus. Now here's he's the guest speaker. And he talked about, he sang the songs of his youth over and over and over again for 7 years, you know? And that's all he had, just the memories of a 7-year-old boy and the Christian songs. And he sang these songs of Jesus for 7 years. And he brought down the house. Everyone was like that. All the Jewish leaders from throughout, you know, New York City, all these things could hear his testimony. And alongside of that was another phenomenal thing too. The public broadcasting system had a 13-week thing on the history of Jewish people, you know. And a lot of us were watching it, and wow, you know, when you really look at the pogroms and all the persecutions that they went through in Europe, the Jewish people, you clearly understood Jewish people can't hear anything what a white person says, you know, because it's 2,000 years of having their head banged around, you know, their whole life destroyed over and over and over again. So the key thing that came out of this was the key thing was that this example of what happened in Nassau synagogue went around, and it became a major part of the discussion where people realized that American Blacks carried the cross in America of suffering. And they're really the very heartbeat of God's providence in the USA. So their suffering aligned with the Jewish suffering, and it allowed for correlative base to be established. So these American Black Christians could really communicate and be accepted by the Jewish people, you know? And if you look at the number of Black American Christians that were part of the 120 clergy that took down their crosses, it's like up there at 80%, 90%, you know? The ones who formulated the American Clergy Leadership Conference, they were able to open the doors for religious and racial reconciliation, you know? And it was such an important thing. But this went even further. A debate was asked for by True Father. And the question of the debate was, is there hope for Israel, or what hope does Israel have? And the two debaters were Andrew Wilson and Dr. Richard Rubenstein, you know, and they had this, like, I think it was a private debate in front of True Father, but I'm not sure, maybe attended by a few members, high level. But the key thing is that Andrew brought up this point that the hope of Israel has is in the reconciliation religiously and racially with Black American Christianity, or Christians from the whole world diaspora. And Father agreed and said, that's truth. That is the key. And Richard Rubenstein didn't have that vision, but Andrew Wilson had that vision, you know, and always been a very important part of understanding it. But there's so much more going on. I'll leave it at that. And I do appreciate having been able to share that with you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. And our last person to speak is Susie Evans. Go ahead.
My God.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for that sharing. It's very special to my heart. As you know, my background is a Jewish background, and I was very privileged when I first joined the movement. I didn't actually end up going to MFT. My first mission was to go to ICC, International Conference for the Clergy, and to bring many Christian ministers to Korea. That was a very healing experience for me because my background, obviously, many of my family perished in the gas chambers, and perhaps 50% on my father's side and my mother's side. So there was a whole history of pogroms and with the chopping off of the Holocaust, particularly. So I was brought up in a family where my father couldn't talk, couldn't even speak the Polish language. And, you know, the affiliation there with Christianity was such that he forbade me from ever going to a Christian church, that if ever I would go out with a Christian, I would not be, you know, considered part of the family. Such was that sense of pain and suffering. And it was really difficult growing up in that situation because I didn't want to carry that kind of heart and spirit and resentment, but I didn't really know what to do with it. So I think people have to recognize that through the taking down of the cross and that spirit of that 4,000 years of history, people could feel relieved, is that throughout the pogroms and the Holocaust, if one looks at their history, a lot of Jewish people felt that reading the New Testament, you could feel a sense of anti-Semitism towards the Jews, which was the driving force in part for the pogroms and also particularly for the Holocaust. So I just kind of reiterate how painful that was to people of that background. And so interestingly enough, then who do I get matched and blessed to but a Christian? And so, of course, Steve has told the story of how my father questioned him in the past because it was a very painful area for him. He wanted to know that I was being married to a man of integrity. And the Jewish concept of how Christians were was not a very nice one. It was one where those were people who drank, went to the pubs and drank, and they cavorted. And it wasn't a very pleasant sort of a thing. It was obviously contorted. But then when I got blessed or matched to Steve, one of my first reactions, even unconsciously, was I looked at his photo and I said, this is either a minister or a lawyer, neither of which I like. And so it was kind of, for me, I think Father said one of the most difficult type of matches and coming together are those of different religious persuasions rather than races, etc. And I can testify that has been an interesting course. But one thing that I'll say that after I joined the movement, my father opened up and he joined with a group called the Council for Christians and Jews. And he became very close friends with a fellow called Professor Anderson at Melbourne University. My father had gone back to study at the Melbourne University when he was in his 70s. And they became very, very close and very embracing. And we entertained him at lunch. And that was right at the time when, just as I had joined the movement, that opening occurred. And so I just felt like when joining the movement and working with these precious Christian clergy, it was such a relief for me after these years to be able to embrace each other in that way. So that's all I want to share for the moment, because I know time is running short.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you, everyone. I'll just share the screen and we can offer our 7-minute unison prayer together. Just one moment. Adieu, adieu, adieu. Thank you, everyone. And have a great day and see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.